Hi guys. Today we are going to talk about a subject that some of you deal with, and I'm guessing a lot of you deal with. It has to do with at the dating stage, and you start to get serious with somebody, and they don't have the identical faith as you. Maybe they even have a different faith. Maybe you're Christian and they're Jewish, and which is fairly common in our country. But let's say you were raised in a more fundamentalist Christian household, let's say, and you were taught that you're only supposed to marry somebody of the same faith as you. That's typically what parents want anyway, rightly or wrongly, you decide that part. But there are advantages to it and there are disadvantages to it. And I'm coming at it from a practical standpoint based on what I've observed in life, even some things that I've experienced in life. And so the question comes up a lot, like, can I marry somebody who doesn't have the same faith as me? Or let's say you're Protestant, she's Catholic, or you pick your strain of Christianity, okay? So, do you need to marry somebody who's the same faith as you? Is it an affront to God, or is it not? Is it completely up to you? So we'll cover a couple of things just to get you thinking about it. I'm not going to tell you one way or another, but I am going to give you some things to think about. The first is I'm going to start off with a test, a simple test that I devised. And it's, which one do you choose? Which is the better choice? Choice number one, an unattractive girl or guy in your church or fellowship who has many of the same beliefs as you do. Choice number two, a good-looking girl or guy who is Christian but differs from you on some things and doesn't go to your church. Choice number three, a super hot girl or guy who is Christian but who doesn't want to go to the same religious group as you, or perhaps not go at all and challenges some of your beliefs. So which of those is more appealing? Well, hopefully at the end of this relatively short video, it'll give you a little bit more to think about. It's just, those questions were designed just to show you how provincial or protective of our own views we can be. Perhaps we're afraid of going outside our group. Perhaps we were taught, don't go outside your group because that's not the way you do it. And then you hit your 20s and you're in college or your late teens and you're like, I don't know if mom and dad were right, because typically that's where it emanates from. Or I don't know if my particular church or religious group is right. Maybe there's somebody in one of these groups who you really like, but just isn't all that interested in going to your church, or maybe not going to church at all, but maybe they're a really good person in your view. And that's what makes it hard. Because if they're not a good person, it's easy to dismiss them, no matter who they are. But, maybe your religious group will be critical of you if you date somebody who doesn't appear to be as spiritually minded as you, or their group. But, something to consider, and I've seen this a lot in life, is that the people who are more likely to see the faults or the flaws with a particular group's way of thinking aren't the people inside the group. It's people outside it. And I've learned to listen to challenges from anyone. I don't care if they're an atheist. If there's a legitimate flaw in the way I think, I'll take correction, or I'll take things to think about from any source. I'll be my own man. I'll make my own choices. So, here's one thing to really consider. The value of someone's kindness, their thoughtfulness. Let's say you're a girl and you've met a guy and he's a nice guy and he's a hardworking man and he dotes on you, he adores you, he's thoughtful. There's a high value in that. And in a high value, not just in a theoretical way, in a relationship practical way, somebody who is kind to you in large part, and somebody who's willing to take the time to understand you, that is huge. That is so important, and I'll say a few things about that. You know, I know a lot of people who have been married that if you were to have given them a doctrinal litmus test, they would have agreed on virtually everything. Give them a 100-question test, a 50-question test. They would have checked off the same answers or given very similar responses, and they still got divorced. You know, within Christian circles, I think the statistics bear out that about half of Christians get divorced, which is in lockstep with the general populace. About half of marriages end in divorce. So, you know, you've got to start to look at, well, how big a role does having the identical doctrines as the person I'm with matter? And this is going to be a matter of personal choice. I'm just giving you things to think about, because these are hard issues to ferret through, especially if nobody's sort of chauffeuring you through them a little bit. So, you know, having a similar faith as another person, it gives you less to argue about. You know, you could sort of start off on a similar foot as someone. And when I say a similar faith, I'm saying, let's say you're a Christian. You both believe that God raised Jesus from the dead. Okay? Simple. We won't go much further than that. But then you believe a lot of the other nuances of the faith similarly, and you go into a marriage like that. Well, it can be a wonderful, vibrant marriage. There's no question about it. But don't be deluded or deceived into thinking that that's enough to sustain a marriage, because it's not. It has to go beyond that. It has to go to the point where the person continues to think about you, continues to be thoughtful toward you, continues to be considerate of you. And that's a matter of heart. That's not a matter of doctrine. Thinking the right way doesn't necessarily get you acting the right way. So many people can quote verses in the Bible, and I've done this too, where I knew a certain way to think, but I wasn't acting that way. And I was just a jerk. And I know a lot of people fall into that category, and pretty much everybody falls into it at some point. But, you know, you don't necessarily have to limit your pool of available guys or girls who you're willing to date and consider marrying. I think when we are overly provincial or protective of our faith, we kind of miss a big part of getting in a relationship and a marriage in the first place, which is to really go through life with somebody who respects you, energizes you, loves you. Love isn't enough in a marriage, which I'll touch on a little bit, but where you might even have common interests, that maybe you like mountain climbing or bike riding or yoga or whatever the things that you like to do. These things are very relevant. You know, people can answer the same doctrinal litmus test and still not have any of the same interests. And over time, that can fray a relationship because you kind of drift apart. So having similar spiritual or theological views, there's nothing wrong with that. And there are some things that are very right about that, in my opinion. But it's not the end-all and be-all. You know, I know people who, one's Christian, one's Jewish, they're married, and they're still married, they have beautiful kids, and they love and adore each other. And so that's just a little bit of food, for thought. You know, but if you do marry somebody who tries to deny you, or you're dating somebody who you know is going to deny you your faith, then that's a red flag to me, because you need to be able to embrace it. But the way you stand in your faith is very important. Like, how we stand in our differences is more a testament to the depth of your faith than how we stand in our agreements. So, but one of the things I did touch on about love not being enough in a marriage, you know, few marriages break up due to a lack of love. You know, it's more a lack of excitement or enthusiasm about the other person. You know, your interests diverge. Maybe they stop showing you the thoughtfulness and the kindness, or you start doing the same thing for them, and Suddenly you've lost communication with one another. You don't know who each other is anymore. Understanding another person is hugely important. And understanding the heart of a person is hugely important, not just how or what they think or how or what they believe, but getting to know a person. I know people who have somewhat divergent views in their marriages, but each understands where the other's coming from on a very basic level, and it works for them. So, feeling safe and feeling loved is a big thing in a relationship. So that's my encouragement in this video, is to not so much get so wedded to doctrinal agreement. That's okay, but feeling safe, feeling loved, feeling warm, feeling energized by the other person is a big one. And obviously, if there's a good-looking guy or girl that you like, that's important too. I started with some questions, and I can kind of finish with that. Having some standards is fine, but going too far and becoming perfectionistic in what you're looking for in the belief system of the others, sometimes you can miss the forest for the trees. So if the girls watching this, if you meet a guy who's nice, thoughtful, hardworking, has a lot of the parts of what you're looking for in a man, you might accept him as he is. And guys, the same thing with a girl. So I hope this helps you in your journey, and that you have a wonderful relationship for the rest of your life if you're getting married, or even if you're already married. Have a great day, guys.